Yeah, we are live.
Okay, let's see if, let's give 2 more minutes and see if people join in, and otherwise we can start. Pooja?
Hello, Meenakshi?
Yeah, we'll give it a minute or two and then we can start.
Yeah, you can start. I will come in later.
Okay, I think Pooja will start. It's almost 6:06. We should start. Okay, good evening everyone and welcome for today's session hosted by Anna Jury. So some of you must have attended our previous sessions. We've been doing this for almost the last 2-3 months now, and basically what Enajuri as a trust has been trying to do is, we have made an attempt during this, in a post-pandemic or a pandemic kind of a situation when most of our movement has been limited. We have been trying to use, or rather make the most of the virtual platform. And through Enajuri and through these series of webinars that we've been hosting, we've been trying to somewhat, form a connect or a network and, bring together entrepreneurs or people working across various sectors, across, a range of sectors. Most of the time what happens is we always try to look outside, bahirot ki hoi ase, tenukwa dhoroner ke ami yaat kaam koribo chesta koru, but a lot of the amazing initiatives are actually happening out here within the Northeast. So this is also an attempt to look within the region and see what could be also ways to partner with organizations, individuals. And as such, Pooja and me, we've been hosting the education webinar every Sunday. So, ami itiale jikhini discussion kori asu on education, it has mostly been to do with primary education. We've talked about digital education. The discussion that we plan to have today is a slight shift from what we have been discussing so far. So, Aji, we will try to talk more from a career perspective. We'll try to look at what could be new avenues of engagement for youth through fellowships, particularly. Instead of, most of the time, if you're working in the, if you come from a humanities background, there's this tendency that, okay, I'll go and work in an NGO. So rather than such a, NGOs or the development sector or teaching just being the only option, we'll also try to look at if fellowships and, such exposure could also be options, because we don't have much information about fellowships. Bahirot jibur, exposure visits bur hoy, scholarships, fellowships, visiting residency programs jibur hoy. So we'll try to look at this whole issue from that perspective. And we have with us somebody who's very experienced in this particular field. We have Mayuri, and Mayuri has been passionately working on menstrual health and gender equity. As an independent menstrual health educator till early 2019, she has reached more than 9,500 menstruators and adolescents in India through her special menstrual hygiene module meant for people living in environmentally fragile regions. She is finishing training as a fellow at the Swedish Institute's Leader Lab for Gender Equality Advocates. Mayuri is a Tan Schouten awardee for her extensive work on WASH storytelling. wash, june najane, ba I would like to say water sanitation and hygiene. Wash buli kole ami water sanitation and hygiene mean koro. She is a World Economic Forum Global Shaper and was elected as the curator of Global Shapers Kolkata Hub in 2017. She represented the Global Shapers community at Davos 2019 along with 40 other global shapers. Mayuri is a fellow at the Westerwelle Foundation Berlin and a climate reality leader and mentor at the Climate Reality Project. She has a master's in human rights from the University of Calcutta and is an alumna of the DO School in Germany, an educational institution for upcoming social entrepreneurs. As an active citizen, she is currently running a campaign, Dignity in Floods. So this will be very relevant to what is currently happening in the state of Assam, Bihar also, to ensure gender sensitive disaster management response in the flood affected state of Assam. So we really look forward to having a very engaging session. Particularly, we are looking forward to the youth to take up questions and see, what could be career options as far as fellowships are concerned. And I really look forward to Mayuri's talk. Thank you, Mayuri. Over to you. Pooja, I think Pooja has to say something. Pooja.
Yeah, thank you Mayuri for joining us. So আজি আমাৰ সেশনটা আমি অলপ বেলেগ ধৰণকে কৰিম বুলি ভাবিছো। So Mayuriৰ লগত আমাৰ co-host মীনাক্ষী, তাইৰো vast experience আছে বা exposure আছে fellowship লৈ পেলাই। তাইও SI লেবত কৰিছে, বিল গেটছ মেলিণ্ডা এণ্ড বিল গেটছ ফাউণ্ডেশ্যনৰো তাই ফেলো হয়। So আমি সেশনটোক আজি আৰু এটা ইণ্টাৰেক্টিভ ৰূপত ল'বলৈ চেষ্টা কৰিম। আৰু মানে I particularly request like youngsters, both মানে যোন Zoom meetingতো আছে আৰু Facebookত আছে, give us as much as question possible which will try to মানে answer to you. যদি আমি এই সেশনটোৰ ভিতৰত নোৱাৰো, আমি এটা এফৰ্ট কৰিম যে আপোনালোকক আমি পাৰ্সোনালি তাৰ at least informationটো দিব পাৰো। So let's at least start this interaction. So Mayuri, like we'll just start with how the journey of fellowship, or like rather the discovery to me keneke mane it, even working in development sector, how the idea of fellowship came, or like how did you discover the process?
Okay, so I would like to say that I started the journey a little late because I started it I think in 2014, way into my career. But so I want to say that even if you may be a college student, you're mid-career, there are different kinds of fellowships for you out there. Whoever is joining in, you might be a PhD scholar, or just out of college, or just out of high school, maybe just barely 18. So there are all these options. So there is a world out there. So do not think that if you do not qualify for a particular fellowship, that you won't qualify for others. I mean, there are out there. You just need to do the proper internet search. So that's what happened in my case. So for a long time, I did not know what to search for. And also because I have a background in human rights, but I was not so sure initially what to do. And it's like later on, I thought that I wanted to work completely into social impact space. So I started searching for training opportunities. I wanted to see that if there is any kind of course or anything for social entrepreneurs. So I think in one of the searches on Google, or I think I was on Twitter. So I would really advise that people should really track social media channels. I know we use social media for posting our food updates or those things, but social media, if used in a correct way, you can find these opportunities. So I was looking through various opportunities, and I found this interesting opportunity at the it's DO, so we call it the DO School. It's based in Berlin in Germany, and they had a call for applications for young people under the age of 30. I was 26 at that point of time, so that's why I say I started late. To give an idea for social change and they want to bring in their community. And it was as vague as that. So I gave an idea that I was really interested in, that was about having proper toilets for women on highways. It was a really crazy idea, but it got selected, and I was invited to spend 3 months in Hamburg, Germany, with 18 people from different nationalities. And I would say that was the life-changing opportunity for me. So it started with that, and I always say it starts with one fellowship, and then you get to know from your network out there. So then after that, the Westerville Foundation came, then a lot of other opportunities also came. I started looking for. So I always say that go for that one fellowship, and you'll find others also opening up. So yeah. And do I need to add anything else? I think I spoke beyond the question.
No, that's completely fine. So when you say you build up a network, how do you see this fellowship? Like your experience in Do School, like can you explain the networking process that you talked about? One led to the next. So what was your experience for last that 3 months that you spent there? So what are the kind of activities that you do in those fellowship, or like those residential, uh, like what do you do in it?
Okay, so the thing is, fellowships or trainings or workshops, whatever you call it, I would say there are two primarily kinds. I went for the social impact ones. There are also other kind of fellowships for people who want to want to work in academics, etc. So I cannot speak much on the academic part. But for the social impact part, I will say when we were at the Do School, we were working on the curriculum for social entrepreneurship, etc. We also had to work on a project. But when you talk about the network, there would be many networking opportunities. We were invited in those 3 months to various organizations. Keep your ears and eyes open because there are opportunities out there. So from one fellowship, you'll get to know about another. From maybe in that network, you're with other people in a room and you'll get to know about it. Now, the thing is that you have to look for it on the internet if you're interested and then apply. So that's how networking or how you get to know if it works. I know that I have heard of the same opportunities. Sometimes I applied and sometimes maybe I just forgot about it. And then I saw that, okay, someone else who was in my batch applied for it. And then I realized, oh, I should have applied for that. So I would really say that one thing we don't do much is that to keep our ears open when we are in these kind of fellowships. I think a very good fellowship is also Teach for India fellowship, which I should have applied, which I didn't. But I have seen people who are applying, my own cousin, my colleagues, they have applied for it. And then after that, they got to know other opportunities from that network itself. But again, it depends on individual effort, whether you want to go further, whether you want your personal growth. Then if you want that, then you have to, not be lazy because quite often we pass deadlines. So just make sure that you submit your application on deadline. And do not really doubt whether I'll get through or not, because I doubted when I was applying for the Do School fellowship and I applied on the last day because I thought, I'm from Assam, all these people, they're from all those big cities. So I really doubted that. So just go for it. I mean, they're not asking for a thesis or something like that. So you just have to express what the questions in good enough English, not like Shakespeare English or some literary English, just good enough to convey your idea. So I really feel that it's not a very tough process. You just have to start with that one. It may click or not, but don't give up. Just apply and look for these options. So I also want to, say that there are very good websites. For example, there is one called Youth Opportunities. I would really ask everyone who is watching this to subscribe to Youth Opportunities because they are really a one-stop shop for all kinds of fellowships, trainings, funded, fully funded, partially funded. And another is Hey Success. Those two are really helpful. Apart from that, I think we can share a link on Facebook and on the comment page. There is a website called IDR Online. They compiled a list of all the fellowships in India. On that link, you'll find everything out there. So you should
share that online.
Yeah. So once it's there, I really would like people to go through it and keep an eye on the deadline date. I know now due to COVID, maybe a couple of these fellowships may be done online. But if I would say even in future, maybe when things are better and things are opening up, there will be offline meetings and stuff. But even if it's online, go for it. I mean, recently I also mentored at the climate reality training, which is a kind of, let's say, a fellowship for people who are interested in climate change and action. And that was done completely online. But the thing is that at the end of the day, you're still doing that fellowship, right? Even if it's online or offline, you still have the tag. You can still put that on your resume. So yeah, whatever it is, don't wait for it. Apply, check out, and keep on searching. And always look for people who have done these fellowships. I'm really happy to like answer questions for people who would like to do fellowships at Swedish Institute or the other fellowships that I've done.
Yeah. So coming back, like I would like to ask Meenakshi the same question. Like, so how did your experience, or rather, what was your that starting point of discovering fellowships, or like applying and going through that process?
Okay. So I think I agree, and I echo what most of Mayuri has just said, because most of these experiences are trial and error kind of experience. Because I mean, we, like Mayuri just mentioned, we doubt ourselves. We need to submit so many supporting documents. It'll be very difficult. Will I be able to write all those long questions that you're supposed to answer along with, I mean, the form application process and all of that. And tar agor kotha is that our information we also lack. That is also another reason why Pooja and I decided to host a session on fellowships particularly, because most of the time ba amar youth har majot, especially out here, I think khub kam, except for Teach for India. I mean, if I have to talk about what are the options available within India, most of us just know about Teach for India. There's also SBI Youth Fellowship eta ase. Tenuka just eta dutar kotha he ami jano. So for me, my experience has been like, I just randomly applied for a Swedish, it was not a Swedish Institute fellow, but I applied for a fellowship in Sweden, and that was on LGBT work. And because that is also an area which is so trivialized out here, working on issues of sexuality, I just applied for it. By then we had also done the first Pride walk out here, so I didn't really think that I would be selected, just like Mayuri said. So, and then it happens. You start building up that confidence. And most of my experience, during these fellowships or exchange programs has been that, networking is a very, very core component of these programs. We have specific sessions on networking where you have like study tours, but network exchange, they call something like the mingle. Mingle is something very important. Like you go and meet people, talk to them, get to know about their organizations. And ultimately, it's not like, okay, hoy jabo. It's like you have to keep on, building these contacts. You have to stay in touch with people, get to know, get more information. Okay, something is happening somewhere else, maybe on a different issue that you're somewhat keen on working. So I think once you start, it actually, that is the beginning. And something may work, something may not. Even out of 10 fellowships that I apply, maybe 8 of them I would get rejected, but there will be 1 or 2 that still would select me. So you are never sure is a hobo no hoy, but it's also about your interest. Okay, this is very important, because any other fellowship that I apply for, and there are a lot of people who apply for fellowship just to visit these countries. I'm being very frank about it. A lot of people are there just to just have an experience, and it's good to travel and to get an experience from a different place is always good. But first of all, major interest area to jana birat dorkar, and we really need to work on the groundwork as far as the research. Nije bohi pelai online search kora, youth opportunity, like Mayuri just mentioned, is a very good website. So tenuka bahut websites ase. So ami nijo, it's not you'll be depending on somebody je kunbai mok information dibo, or I'll get a mail from somewhere and then I'll apply. You will also have to do your own groundwork, and slowly things just fall into place. It's just about experience, having confidence in yourself, and that's how it happened for me.
That's very you have rightly put it forward. But এতিয়া আমি school colleges like IDR যোনটোত আছে, a lot of program has been like right after undergrad, but তোমাৰ class +2 কৰি ফেলেও হয়. So the thing is that they may not be aware of those things immediately. So to make those fellowship aware, like online there are, so like do you think like there can be some innovative way of letting them know in colleges, or like do you have any idea, do you think which might really work, to make it more accessible to school, colleges? So what do you have to say in this, Mayuri?
Yeah, now I know that people who go to, let's say, really expensive schools, let's say like the private, really expensive private ones, private schools, they do have like a wing which, because they also want their students to go abroad. So sometimes they advise them to do this fellowship. I know, at least in Calcutta context, I know that a couple of high-end, really like, those posh schools, they do it. So that's another thing. But for others who are not going to those schools, like I also did not go to a school like that, which would tell me what fellowship to apply for. I really think that maybe, innovative ways, I'm just thinking innovatively. It should be like teachers also. It should come from teachers. There are some schools do have this career counseling sessions. So career counselors should also look beyond the traditional ones that just engineering or doctor is not the only profession. If you want to work in social impact space, they should also be aware of these things. Now the thing is, the question is, are they aware of it? I think slowly, when people like us who are going up, and when you're doing a session like this, I hope that awareness comes out that there are these options. And I really always feel that whenever I've applied, I see people from India, and in my batch, I generally don't find people much from Northeast India. So I'm generally, maybe I'm the only one from here. So I have seen that maybe it's just maybe it's not out there with the teachers, knowledge, and they have just, this is still a new aspect, because you can also relate it to globalization and stuff, because it is now young people are going out very easily. Earlier it didn't happen. I mean, let's say, think about our mothers or even our teachers. They didn't go so easily, didn't have the knowledge about these fellowships. So we are still taught by these people, by their generation in school. So maybe it's the newer generation of teachers, because now they have access to internet. There could be like, if their teachers group, if some, there could be a way of at least letting the teachers know, then the teachers could give it, the information to their students. Now Teach for India is very famous because they do very good advertisement all over. You'll find on Times of India, etc. But the other ones, they don't do it. So that is something to reach to the like grassroots level, to people in small towns, even like mine. I wouldn't say Tezpur is a small town, but still I'm not sure how many students in Tezpur, like my school, St. Joseph's or Don Bosco, even in my mother's school, Government Girls, would know about a couple, even maybe Teach for India, they're not aware of at this stage if they're 18, 19. So someone has to tell them. So maybe it's just a teacher. So there has to be something, if there is a teachers association, I would feel like they're the best way. Otherwise, there is internet. It's just that people do not know how to search for it. But again, internet is so democratic nowadays that if someone else shares and they are re-sharing, or if on your own Facebook page, because I understand that a lot of people are logging in. If you share the links of Youth Up in the Facebook page, maybe people will start looking at it, and they'll then, after, if they get through a fellowship, then they'll share. That's what I did. I think after going through fellowships myself, I started sharing them in my network, and that's how people in my friend circle or in my professional circle, they got to know about it and they applied. So that's how I think it organically grows at present. So I'm not so sure right now what is the perfect method, but I would say teachers and whoever is getting to fellowship, just be very kind and share it in your network, spread the information. I think that's how things can happen.
Yeah, absolutely right. The snowballing effect needs to be there, and like we are doing a lot of work in reaching out to teachers in Upper Assam. I'm sure like there are people who are accessing it, and we'll make sure those information reach. Now, like this question is particularly to you and Meenakshi, and like the fellowship program are in different. I have attended hardcore business, which is like a fellowship, like which is very competitive. We are always given case studies, and like somewhere that have a competitive edge to it, like be it academic or like social entrepreneurship, or like the kind of sensitivity work that goes on. How do you see it in different sector, the how fellowship works in different sector? Yeah, like both of you can talk about
Pooja,
it.
can you come again? I just didn't exactly
Yeah.
বুজি পোৱা নাই.
মই এইটো বস্তু কৈছো যে ফেলোশ্বিপবোৰ okay, I think people are logging in from Facebook. Okay. Just, I was asking it that a fellowship হয় business related hardcore business বা social entrepreneurship কোৱা academic কোৱা sensitivity issues কোৱা তাতে তোমাৰ মানে I have attended business hardcore business, so মানে it's a very competitive edge even with the fellow who works together. So how do you see that whole holistic way of approaching a fellowship? Like, what is the experience within those few days or months that you stay with people? What is the learning process?
Mayuri, you want to take that?
Okay, so I have attended various kinds of fellowships or these kind of training programs. So I can talk about two very different, like their opposite ends, kind of fellowships I've attended. The one I talked about, the Do School Fellowship. So it was for social entrepreneurs, upcoming social entrepreneurs. So during that 3 months phase, they would really tell you how to develop a business plan, etc., etc. And along with that, we had to work as fellows in different groups on a common project. So we were working with H&M, the fashion giant, to develop the concept of a sustainable storeroom, like what mane kapur poa jai. So how to develop a good environment friendly storeroom for H&M, which was a big thing. But there was a competitive edge to it, that while we were working on our business plans, etc., there was one night where we were asked to pitch or present our projects. Our projects were what we are working for in front of, let's say, around 100 people, and our projects would be voted by these people, and they were given a vote, cards or something, and they would vote that, and only 3 people would be selected, like the top 3 from there, and they would directly go to another round, which would they would get qualified for a funding. So it was that was our competitive thing, and we would really prepare for that. So I didn't get through that presentation round, but I got through the other one, which is a public voting, which was for everyone around the world. But that was one aspect of it. That's how the Do School Fellowship was structured. Now, I have attended the last one. I would say it's a complete fellowship. It's a fellowship by change.org. A lot of people may know of it because you get petitions to sign on your email that sign this petition from change.org. It's a non-profit organization, which makes like petitioning democratic for everyone or any kind of campaigning. So it's very common. I think a lot of people have seen this like change.org petitions. So they had a program called She Creates Change for female change makers who want to do something in the society. They want to create some change. Now, this was a very non-competitive fellowship. We had to stay in Bangalore for in a beautiful place. It was a perfect fellowship. We went through like various stages of personal and community development, those kind of concepts. So how communities build up. We were also taught how to write a petition and how to work on campaigning. So there was no competitive edge on that. So the thing is, that's what I want to say. So fellowships can be of different kinds. So this was a completely non-competitive one, while the Do School Fellowship, they had a competitive edge to it, a part to it, while also being educational. So yeah, that's what I can say, like bringing those 2 examples.
Okay, to answer your question, Pooja, I think like Mayuri just mentioned, it depends kuntu kenikwa dhoroner fellowship you have applied for. And as far as the competitive edge or the competitive aspect of it is concerned, I think application process is competitive. So jikono fellowship ote application process to competitive thake. It depends. Most of the fellowships that I have applied are, application process is quite subjective. So it's basically your personal take on issues, social issues. So the fellowships that I have applied are for social development sector, and particularly for gender, since that is my core area of work. But depending on where you have applied for the fellowship, or who is your sponsor ba kune organize korise, so the entire program actually revolves around that. So the Swedish Institute fellowship, which I was part of, that was a mix of both. And I think more than the classroom engagement, most of the fellowships that I have been part of has also equally focused on discussions or engagement outside the classroom. So how do you interact with people, organizations of Logdhuri, how do you network, how do you get to learn from their, way of functioning or running an organization. So not just what you discuss within the classroom, practical information, but also outside the classroom, engagement, bonding. So the personal is very important, making the personal really relevant in your professional or the political sphere. That becomes really important. And on the other hand, the latest fellowship that I am currently part of, which is the UN Women Fellowship. So I was a Bill and Melinda Gates scholar. So A2 Fellowship, this has been, hardcore, heavy theory, academic, তেনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ এটা fellowship, which is, it is also, by the time, when we are done with the fellowship, we also have to sit for an exam. So it runs for almost a year. So basically, it depends what to me apply korisa and how they basically want to run the program, or what is the core objective of what they're trying to do through that fellowship program. So that has been my experience.
Yeah, that's really interesting to know. So like if I come back, like after fellowship is a very small duration and you have to come back and get back to your work, how do you see those fellowship or those program helping in your professional life? Does it shape your thinking in certain way to have those problem solving skills, or you see a problem, how do you approach it, like have those your mental makeup change?
I would say yes. I think there have been, I think fellowships or this exposure to various cultures have made me really empathetic as a human being, because when you are interacting with people, let's say from Sierra Leone or from Freetown, and you both understand that at the end of the day, you're just like human beings and you have a common cause to work on, that maybe someone is interested in solar energy and wants to work on gender equality from another country. You bond on those issues. So all those narrow-mindedness that we have about particular cultures, let's say we have in India kind of very, I think very bad, I think I have heard it at least, we have a very bad perception about people of African descent. Even in India, we are also racist in a way. But when you go to these places, when you interact with different cultures, people from different cultures, I think it really opens up your mind in a way. But again, you should be open. You should be also ready to open up your mind. It won't. Someone won't really open the door. So I would say it really made me empathetic, and it really inspired me, because I have found maybe ideas for my own projects from others by interacting. I also got feedback from various, even the facilitators who would be there in the fellowship, and also from others who are attending the same fellowship. Another thing I would like to say, because Meenakshi has also attended the Swedish Institute's program, so I also attended it last year. I found like value in that. One of my coaches, we were doing a session on storytelling, and they were saying that you could apply for this course at Harvard Executive Education Program. Now the thing is, some of us maybe heard it, we were there. I went and applied for it, and I told my coach that can I take your name for a sponsorship? So I think that course that I did at Harvard, it was on leadership, organizing, and community action. It is one of the best courses that I've done, and it has added to, I believe it has added a lot to my CV. Now, that's what I say, like from one fellowship, how do you make sure that it adds to your professional development? You have to work on that. So there are also others around me. When I applied and later on said I applied for it, they said, oh, we didn't know. I said, come on, you were in the same group with me. You were talking to the coach and she said that. But they didn't hear. They were maybe hearing something else. So that's what I say. When you're in any kind of this kind of setting, keep your ears and eyes open. There is information flowing out there somewhere. So you have to catch it and you have to hold it and you have to apply for that. So that's what I did. And I really feel that I have, from 2014, all these fellowships, all these trainings that added to me becoming not only better professionally, but also personally. I have, yeah, that's what I can say in a nutshell.
Meenakshi?
Yes, I totally, Marie Ji Koisa, I agree, but I'll just also add another perspective to it. I mean, of course, whatever fellowship, whatever training exposures that I have attended, definitely it's a addition to your knowledge, our experience, it's definitely an add-on, and it adds so much to your overall knowledge system, your experience as a whole. But there also might be occasions during a fellowship that you may not necessarily agree to a certain component of the program or something. So there have been occasions in the past where we found a certain part or a certain component of the program to be very Eurocentric. But that's absolutely okay, because when you look at the program as a whole, you will there'll be a lot of takeaways from the program which will ultimately go on to help you in the kind of work that you do out here. So bahut khini homoyot maybe our examples bur same nohoy, there will be a lot of differences, because ultimately at the end of the day we will have to think of our own context that we work in. We have to really narrow it down to the communities that we work in, or our geographic locations. We also have to be very practical and realistic about it. So এনেকুৱা হ'ব পাৰে য'ত আমাৰ we're not particularly able to relate to a certain example, but we also need to look at it from our standpoint, from our vantage point, and you need not necessarily look at that particular component. What I'm trying to say here is that as a whole, from a broader perspective, larger perspective to jodi sao, these fellowships, these programs definitely go a long way, as far as your professional development is concerned. And when I say this, I do not just encourage or just push people that you have to look for fellowships or exposure programs outside India. Within India, bahut programs ase.
Exactly.
You really need to look at that. We are not trying to promote okay, you have to go abroad and people don't come back. We're not trying to promote that idea. It's good. Exposures are good. These kind of exchange programs are really good. But there are a lot of, like Teach for India, Teach for India, initially there was a lot of criticism also for Teach for India, because Teach for India is very, very city-centric. Teach for India, jikhini kaam hoisile, I think it was just based out of 9 cities in the country. But Teach for India also runs a program now, which is called Teach for India X, TFIX buli koy. And there, if you apply, they basically train you how to run fellowships. So if you have an organization, it might be a grassroots organization. You may not have a foreign funding FCRA nathaka organization hobo pare. But if you really are an entrepreneur, if you really have the zeal and the enthusiasm to run a program, a fellowship program, like so many organizations I know personally are doing that out here. So Teach for India X actually runs this program every year. And last 2 years, I know, because I've closely worked with them, that Northeast has been a very, focal area for Teach for India X. They are really looking for fellows from the Northeast, because most of these programs that I have attended all these years, everywhere I go, I keep hearing from our Northeast applications in ahe. Because, Ajan, we don't know. And I think we don't know, we need to do our own research. Internet, let's make the most of it. So, there are a lot of opportunities within the country. In fact, yate Northeast Ahomote bahut fellowships organizations run kori ase, where you get real good experience of going and working with communities and really getting the rural experience. Because unless and until you have that, it might look very fancy if you check my Instagram or my Facebook pictures, okay, fellowship at goisu, Europe goisu, Amok goisu. But without really having worked with communities, it is not really possible to do that. So you will have to have that experience. Experience to know, because it's all experiential based learning, but reality based. So that will also add on to what you share in those international platforms.
Yeah, it's a reflection.
I hope I made sense.
No, yeah. Absolutely, because you reflect what you do. So
totally,
yeah,
yes.
There needs to be a basis. So my next question comes here, like especially to Mayuri. So if you have done fellowship in Europe, Africa, and in India. So Indian fellowship or composition, but how they are making it happen. What do you see the difference? Like, how do you have your take on it? Like, how different it is?
Okay, so the thing is, the one good Indian fellowship or a program that I've attended is the one that I told before, the She Creates Change Fellowship from change.org. I feel that it was as Indian as possible. So we had people from like homemakers also. Like we had homemakers, we had people who are working with indigenous community in Jharkhand. I think apart from me, there was another girl from Nagaland. So this fellowship is meant only for women. So there was another girl from Nagaland, and again, like I think what Meenakshi said, they were always saying, the organizers, that we don't get enough applications from Northeast India. We want to get more applications. So I would really like encourage that whenever these kind of applications are out there, do understand that Northeast is a focus space for a lot of these fellowships, because they don't get enough people, and our region has a special feature, you know, due to our culture, due to our history, due to our various, also from the environment perspective. I think there are a lot of environmental fellowships for people who are interested in those. They're really looking at people or young people who are from our region. So I really think that go for them. So when you say differently structured, every fellowship is differently structured. I have also attended a fellowship like Westerwelle Foundation, like you introduced me as. It was a 3-day event, and it was a very only for people who had something running, a campaign, and they would do some exposure visits. We met the vice president of Germany. So I really don't know what happened after that. I don't think I got much from that fellowship, to be honest. But it was a good experience. Sometimes it's good experience to meet the vice president of Germany as well, from coming from a smaller town like ours. I think it gives a kind of confidence boost as well to people. But it depends. I really found the Do School really useful, because it was on a specific subject for social entrepreneurs, and it was structured exactly like a training, and it was hands-on. And there are a couple which are you just go and listen to lectures and do a bit of networking and come back. And some people get value from that. I have done maybe one like the Westerwelle, and I'm not so sure about how much value I've brought, but I accept that I found new friends who are from so many other parts of the country. But I would really, really strongly recommend the She Creates Change Fellowship. I found that to be not only like, I found a community of women, people who identify as women, who are there, who want to make some kind of social change out there. And we have a group, and we're always supporting each other. And apart from that, we also learn how to campaign. So it's a very homely kind of fellowship. I think that it was India-based one. It was a very homely kind of fellowship. So it depends on which, like Meenakshi also said, it depends which organization is organizing it, and what's their philosophy. So there will be many fellowships in India which are really, they have a deep philosophical thought. I think there's something called the Fuel Fellowship, which is really into storytelling. You delve deep into your own self. So it depends who is organizing it.
Mayuri, I think we need to take one important question about funding. Most of the time, fellowships apply kori, because of the funding aspect, a lot of people also hesitate. How do I get the money to go? But kisuman ase programs enekwa jot they don't sponsor you, they don't fund you. But I mean, you can talk about your experience, and I can add on just the monetary part of it.
Yeah, so I can say that I've known friends who applied to their regional consulate. Let's say they wanted to apply. I have not done that. I have been advised, but I just on time I got a funding from the organization saying that, okay, we'll fund it. But there have been, let's say, if there is a fellowship in Germany and you're an Indian citizen and there's a consulate nearby, one good thing could be that you write to the consulate if it's from a particular country, or write to the US consulate if you have a fellowship out there and say that I'm an Indian citizen, I want to do this to build India-US relationships, or let's say for Germany, I want to build that up. So you might get that. Now, if it's some, let's say an environment fellowships you want to do, there are many companies also which have the CSR wing, or there are other organizations. You can ask. There's no harm in asking, and that's one thing we don't do. We ask for help. We don't really ask for help. Sometimes we think that it will or something like that. But I think you should really do that. And I'm just forgetting there. I think Tata Trust is something, they provide travel bursaries for people who want to do any kind of fellowship. I have to check that. I'm not so sure.
I think it's regarding higher studies, if I'm not mistaken.
Apart from that, I think it's also if you want to do some kind of professional development, there will be
there are many actually. A lot of corporate houses also does that.
Yeah, there are these travel bursaries that they give you.
Bursaries, yeah, right.
Exactly. Because I got from Westerwelle Foundation. I wanted to attend a youth event outside, and because I was already a Westerville Foundation fellow, sometimes maybe just ask the previous fellowship that you had applied for that, can you give me a funding for this next one? I want to do this. You have to build your case. So what will you do for that? So just ask around, look at consulates, look at other like smaller NGOs, look at the previous fellowships or organizations where you had applied before. So yeah, make sure that you ask for help. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, right. I think my experience so far has been, so there's also this whole idea, or people who think that to me, you don't get the funding, those are not really good enough programs or kind of visits that you should really go for. But that's not really the case. Even if the organization may not necessarily fund you, because keteba hoy je we organize certain programs which are really good, but you may not necessarily have the funding to invite scholars or professionals. So that's not really the idea, that if somebody is not really providing you full scholarship or funding for the program, you should not apply for it. But in my case, all the programs that I have applied for, I got full sponsorship, full fellowship for all of these programs. And like you just mentioned, I think a lot of the organizations, most of the time, like I know, for example, Oxfam or ActionAid, they have a separate fund which allows these kind of professional development training or programs that you can actually, apply for, and you can actually avail those funds for. So not only your organization, but also, like you mentioned, I think if you apply for, that was applicable in my case. So যদি research fellowship apply কৰিব লাগে, I was there for a conference as well as a extended program in University of Lund in Sweden. So then I had applied for the ICSSR fellowship. So ICSSR is the Indian Council for Social Science Research, and they have their Northeast branch out here. So most other things, funding apply nokore amar yare scholars. So that fund is also there. So that is another area where you can look. So there are many opportunities, or there are many avenues where you can look for funds. And like you said, previous funding or proud, you can it's how you build up your case, or how you build up your story, and apply for it.
Yeah.
So there's nothing right or wrong whether you should go for it jodi funding nokore jabo lage na lage. Lot of good programs also happen even if you do not get the full funding for it. And there are many programs jo maximum amount to diye, but a slight amount of money maybe for your accommodation or your food that you have to shell out from your own pocket. So you'll have to really, and if you have the money, just go for it. There's nothing that should stop you.
Yeah, this is a very important question both of you have answered. Like anyone like in Facebook and here, whoever there, like it just apply for everything possible. Like I'm sure there is a way for getting those funding. Just don't feel demoralized that you don't have fund or money to go to those fellowships. I think Kavita Girmi have something to say. Like mute yourself and share your experience about your fellowship that you have done recently.
Okay. Hi everyone. It's so nice to see Mayuri, Pooja, a lot of people didn't expect me to attend this. Yeah, so I would also like to share something. I really
Kavita, can you be loud? Like your voice is not audible. Yeah.
Okay. Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Okay. So Mayuri and Pooja, whatever they have just spoken on, how do we really need to tell our stories? Like I'm a general person, okay, but since I'm not working, I'm freelancing, I really don't have a lot of money. I don't earn a lot of money, and I don't like to depend on my parents. So whenever I really like something, I just write it down, like write it to them, tell them everything very genuinely कि this is the case, ये है, ये नहीं कर सकती हूँ मैं, पर मुझे बहुत करने का मन है. You just need to put that. And what the problem is that हम सोचते हैं ना, these are formal institutions, and how do we really be vulnerable? I have really learned to be like, just keep it out. Whatever is there, just keep it out. Help will come. Or you can also crowd fund for yourself. Like you can just talk about what you want to do. Just write it down. Use your Facebook, WhatsApp, every medium. Use everything. People are there to help. They have money. और जितना हम उस पैसे को कुछ अच्छे काम में लगाएंगे ना, it's like kind of clean money भी बोल सकते हैं उसको. So just do it. People don't wait. So on the fellowship that I just did, it was from Citibank Bank, and during COVID, they really had some fun, like not a lot, but they had some 2-3 lakhs, जिसको they wanted to donate directly to some organizations. And one of the implementing NGO that I work with also, they were also part of the fellowship. They were also part of that plan, and they wanted to. They were really asking me which are these people who are genuinely organizations who are genuinely working, and how could we do that. But then when I saw that the fund was really less, and doesn't make sense na कि आप बस पैसा दो और relief provide हो. And then we brainstormed a little, and we came up with a 3-month short fellowship, which was on really choosing this grassroots people, like, so they might not be social workers full time, but they're doing something on their own, and who have no idea of what fellowship is even, and they might never apply because of this language barrier, like English mein likhna hota hai, ye wo, everything. So we really did a good like search on or with organizations that we personally know, and then they nominate some fellows, and I was also one of the fellow, because even I was not working, earning anything, so I was also one of the fellow. And being a fellow, we designed the fellowship in a sense that people, all of them were really working with whatever strength they could, and we helped them in designing campaigns, we helped them in fundraising, so they did all of it themselves, and we just provided support of 5,000 rupees per head, and we worked with 30 fellows. So that is kind of sustainable, in the sense that see, people will also have to be like, they are already doing amazing, लेकिन थोड़ा सा push करना होता है, उनको believe करवाना होता है. So you can also design some fellowship, and you can see who are these people who can fund. There will be people coming out. So if you have an idea and you really want to work, you even if you are an individual, not an organization, you can really do things. बस यही share करना था. The fellowship was called Sarthak Fellowship, and it just ended this June. And I did the social impact assessment along with the uh, kind of working with the other fellows also. Yeah. Thank you.
Like, did you do it in like, where did you do it in India?
So it was pan India thing. SIDBI ka office, I guess, is in Delhi, and the organization that I worked with was from MP, Jharkhand, like four organizations, really grassroots enterprising organizations, and all of them were my mentors since like 4 or 5 years, and I was really thrilled to work on it. Yeah, and people from Hijra community, there were like super like एक 18 years की लड़की थी जो आपको है ना, हम सबको बहुत इंस्पायर कर सकती है. There are people like that. They are the real workers, but they never come on Facebook, they'll never take this awards or get this recognitions, but there are people out there, and I think I really get thrilled when I get to work with these amazing people who are unseen, kind of unseen in this whole social media thing.
Yeah, absolutely. What you're saying, like me personally, I don't like sharing things online, but I've seen people who are doing a lot of work, and I'm really happy to hear from you, Kavita. Like it's amazing to hear that you are making, and the way you speak, it shows your excitement. Like, this is what we need. Like, from you, like another 100 people will go out and have those exposures. So like, I'm so happy to hear, and congratulations for whatever you're doing right now.
Thank you so much, and Milind, you're doing good, and Mayuri and Pooja and everyone. I keep following your work also, so keep doing the good work. Yeah, that's it.
That's really nice of you. So now, like coming back to current time, like this is to both of you, Mayuri and Minakshi. Like COVID have changed the whole world. Like when previously fellowship was one-to-one interaction, like those human contact, and the networking that you can do network virtually, but going and talking to people one to one is a whole different game. And like, how do you see post, I won't say post COVID, like at current times, how do you see the changing face of fellowship? Like, how do you see it will go another like 1 year down the line, or like 5 years down? Do you see that this will change the whole game?
Should I go for that now? I can start because I did something. So, in my introduction, they said that I'm a climate reality leader. So, climate reality leadership corps is a kind of, I would say, training or a fellowship, which is for people who are interested to work on climate change. Now, till last year, so it is also an interesting thing. It was founded by Nobel Prize laureate Al Gore, who was also the previous, like a long time back, vice president of United States, and is a big player or a big activist in on environmental issues. So I think a lot of people might already know about his work. So he founded this. So the idea is that there would be, like, till last year, I'm talking about pre-COVID, it would be that there would be a huge training and they could call around from 300 to 2,000 people in one gathering. And Al Gore would give his presentation, that the major one on climate change. It's a famous one that all climate reality leaders do that. And he would tell how to do this training. So you just see him. And that was a major part of it. And after that, there would be networking sessions or smaller group meetings, smaller training meetups like that. Now, the thing is, this year, a lot of these were supposed to be held offline. And they had to cancel all of this because of the coronavirus pandemic. So what they did, they transformed this huge in-person gathering into completely online, and they got in around 14,000 applications, and they accepted 10,000 people for this training, and they shifted this into an online module. So Al Gore would come on they would do it like a live session. So you cannot download the videos, because when you go to a training, you do not download a training, you cannot take videos of Al Gore. So those copyright issues were there. So same for the training website. So they had a training website where at a particular time, let's say for different time zones. So there was one for India, one for US, people in Europe had different time zones. People in India could log in to that website and watch Al Gore's training, but you had to be registered or selected for that. So I was a mentor at that training because I had, I'm already a trained climate reality leader. So this is actually, this is the climate reality green pin that you get after graduating from that. So I was mentoring. So what they would do these sessions online, and then there would be on Zoom, you would get links and you would do networking sessions. So there would be India specific networking sessions and different time slots. You could log into it, you could put it in your calendar, and they would track your progress. And you had to also do learning assignments, which we didn't have to do in in-person trainings, because they have to track whether you're doing things or not. So you had to submit assignments on that website, and after you completed everything, they would say that, okay, you are now a climate reality leader because you have fulfilled all of these. So this is how they have done it, and they are going to do more of it often, because you see, it also makes financial sense for the organizer, because it's easier. I mean, they would not fund everyone for a climate reality in-person training, but let's say the venue cost or the food cost, it's free. Let's say climate reality would organize a training in Guwahati, you can actually walk in and do that training. You don't just a pre-registration. You don't have to pay anything. Maybe if you're coming from Shillong and want to be in Guwahati, that accommodation cost maybe not be taken care of. But this is how it is. And what I'm getting is, now organizations are seeing that maybe all this flying people from all over the world into one venue, these things may not be needed always. So as a future, I was reading an article of how do these future trainings look like. It could be a mix of virtual and also in-person gathering, because the COVID pandemic has also affected the economy. So the funders who would fund these trainings, I do not have much money also, because their businesses are not running well. So I see that the future will be a mix of virtual and also in person. Even the coronavirus, I don't know when it goes off, this physical distancing norms will be there. So they cannot call maybe 800 people in one venue, maybe it'll be less, and they could be like other options. So yes, it would be lesser in a couple of years. And now that people have realized that, have discovered Zoom, that these things can be done on Zoom. Usually we would do this kind of a gathering, this kind of a meetup in a cafe or some venue, but people have discovered Zoom now, where it can go. There are breakout rooms, you can really explore that. So now that organizations have really found this way out, so I think a lot of them will be online. That's what I feel.
And Meenakshi?
I think, there'll be a huge transformation in every field, like you just said. As far as fellowships are also concerned, definitely in a post-pandemic kind of a post-COVID world, of course, the way we have experienced or been part of fellowships in the past will definitely undergo a change. And I mean, I'm not really sure. That's my total, a personal opinion. I mean, face to face or jenekwa interactions hoy, but face to face or the kind of bonding that one experiences, whether that would be really possible. I mean, of course, it makes total sense now that people have realized that how we function or the whole idea of working will definitely change. Maybe we'll completely do away with the whole idea of having physical office spaces, so to say. But fellowships for এনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ exchange program is not just about talking or discussing. It is much more. Sometimes even your body language has so much of a relevance, gestures. Because I am part of a certain program now, and we are, because of the pandemic, we had to completely do away with the face-to-face program, which was supposed to happen in Netherlands. And now we are part of this module, which is totally, a virtual platform. And the organizers had to completely, bang their heads as far as how they would go ahead in terms of organizing or restructuring this entire program is concerned. And even after the program was restructured into a virtual platform, we did a lot of trial and error rounds. And it is not even, Mayuri, to me, you're talking about 800,000 people. This is a small bunch of 25 people. We are still struggling every day. And after every session, after every webinar, or, the breakout groups that you can do in Zoom and all of that, so many options are there. I mean, every day is a new struggle, because no matter how much I consider, okay, thik ase, moi technologically advanced hobo paru, but despite that, I was, almost in a situation the other day when I had to literally sit on 2 different devices and open 2-3 different softwares. So my question is, would we be really harping on, or all these software or technological things? Maybe that will become the so-called new normal. We'll have to get used to such a new reality. But for me, face-to-face is always, nothing can replace face-to-face any day. Koribo paru, cost cutting hobo pare, so many things will change, and we have almost accepted that reality now. But I think, no, face-to-face or juntu bostu hoy, the rapport building, even while sitting and having a cup of coffee in the lobby, you would be discussing things which you would not get to do in a virtual platform. So, it's very interesting. In some of the webinars, the module that we're currently part of, we have something called the coffee hangout sessions. Especially, Mayuri, you would be knowing, because in Sweden, they have the fika sessions, which is such an important part of Swedish culture. So that would be even if you do not want in Sweden, 2 different breaks, like 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock, you have to, no matter how, even if you're a CEO or whatever, you have to literally go out and have a cup of coffee with your teammates. So such small things become so important in the kind of work that we do. So according to me, that's a total, personal opinion that I'm sharing. Nothing can definitely take place, of face-to-face interaction, and virtual cannot be an alternative to the face-to-face.
We have
I would really agree with you. We are doing this because we are forced to. Because our Swedish Institute, the same one, the module was supposed to be done like Malmo in March, and then it became online. We are now tired because 1 hour of Zoom meeting just tires your mind and your eyes. But when you're doing it physically, it is a different thing. You can just talk for hours and you don't know. So definitely, it will never match the physical experience. But yeah, we have to do with what we have at present, and hopefully we can do these physical meetings like the usual way very soon. But till then, I think whatever.
That is this kind of a new reality. You also have to take into consideration so many other aspects. In fact, while we were restructuring this, the other module that we are now part of, we had to take into consideration like something which would otherwise be a 5 to 6 hour, face-to-face session, continuous discussion of theory and so many other things. You are having to cut short to maybe just an hour or two, because it's just not humanly possible to sit in front of a computer and continuously discuss for 3-4 hours. And also along with that, you have so many, I mean, you're in your house, there are so many other things that go into that, you know, juggling your personal as well as your professional. So, I mean, so many other things also needs to be taken into consideration.
Yeah, definitely.
We can open up the session for questions, I think, now. If
Yeah, anyone can like come up, like if even if you're shy, you can write it down and we'll answer it.
I think this is a very great session. This is Milind, and I want to know about like fellowship like Gandhi Fellowship, Ashoka Fellowship, Young India Fellowship. I think are they also not popular in this part of India?
I think I've seen a couple of Gandhi fellows from Assam, from from my Facebook friend list, and I've also
Okay.
seen like I had when I had like interns working at my organization, they wanted to apply for the SBI fellowship, and
yeah, SBI fellowship is quite famous. SBI and Youth for India, I think people know. And I
yeah,
personally know Ashoka fellows who are within the
Our
Northeast.
PM fellowship is also there, which is like very competitive. That is
Yeah,
one.
Yeah.
also for SC, STs, particular, you know, scheduled categories, I think are Telugu fellowships. PM
Aru,
fellowship is one of them.
my question will be, in Assam, is there any organization who focuses on giving help people about fellowships? Enuka organization ase neki baru?
I know of the organization NEAID, which is now, they've started because they, one of their co-founders was part of the TFIX fellowship. And as part of the TFIX fellowship, they are supposed to run a fellowship program. So they have started, I mean, just this year, they've taken 5 fellows and they're running a program in Moregaon district.
Yeah.
So there are similar organizations, but besi nai, not many.
Yeah. In
No,
fact,
no. More question to A2, is there any organization june ami jinbu kotha koi asu hebur kore mane help young people educating about fellowship ki apply koribo pare?
No, as far as my experience is concerned, moi to poa nai etiale. I don't think so.
I also haven't found anything.
I mean, there are career counselors and all of these group, money minting businesses that run. Sorry to say that, but not particularly on fellowships.
Schools also.
I know of the MUN, the Model United Nations, which is quite popular in these so-called business or corporate schools in Assam right now, not just Assam, the rest of the country as well. And I think they send for a lot of exchange programs.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think teachers or karneo US or teacher exchange program eta ase.
Yeah, like Milind, to answer your question, like yate few private schools, if I'm not mistaken, they have it. যোনটো মানে সেই যোনটো career wing to আছে career counseling বা হেৰি কয়, their mentors talk a lot about it. In fact, like UN school model, those are like in army school, Sarla Bila, they have done those kind of models. But what you're talking about, the specific centric, organization or individual who is working on educating, I believe like till now I haven't heard about or met anyone in here.
I think it also depends মানে কেনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ fellowship এতিয়া মানে professional fellowships or কাৰণে তেনেকুৱা নাই as far as I know.
Yeah.
But schools by immediate like 11th and 12th তেনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ like NASA লগত আজিকালি বহুত exchange programs হয়. Lot of I think students, I mean জাতীয় বিদ্যালয়ৰ পৰা বহুত ল'ৰা ছোৱালী গৈছে মই দেখিছো. So with NASA they do a lot of this, but I think what Mayuri and I have spoken in the last 1 hour is primarily to do with professional fellowships like
And
community work and
specific
grassroots work.
about
Yeah.
social, we are talking about social sciences or humanities per se, but please understand that fellowship program is not just centric to social sciences or humanities. Yate tumar engineering or pa loi fele, business model schools loi fele, there are various kinds of things. Like it
Yeah.
just that, as everyone says, it's about you have to find it out. You have to make your own effort to find it out, or talk to your mentor or like counselors to whom you generally meet and figure it out. But there are definitely Slumbergen, if I'm not wrong, I think is an engineering a very good fellowship which is out there.
Mayuri just mentioned of Green Hub, which is run by Northeast Network. It's a good fellowship. Green Hub, Northeast Network or funding nohoy jano Green Hub.
Yeah,
I think it's
Kavita mentioned it. Yeah, it's NEN.
Yeah, it's NEN, Northeast Network. Green Hub is run by NEN. Yes, that's a great fellowship. Yeah, I know because they also do a lot of these fellowships where they encourage the youth to take up mobile filmmaking and all of this. So they fund for those kind of interesting things as well. So that's good.
So like another question I have received, like who are in Facebook, Matu Mayuri, like can you specifically mention about social entrepreneurship program?
Yeah.
Are there any specific social entrepreneurship program that people can apply to? Like, can you name a few?
Yeah, definitely. From my personal experience, the first one, like I said, the first fellowship I did, the Jew School Fellowship in Germany is one. I found it to be really good, and a couple of my friends who went there, they found it to be really good. I think apart from that, there are Ashoka also runs this Youth Venturous program for young entrepreneurs. I think it's
below 20.
Below 20. Apart from that, if you look at the IDR online link that has been shared, not on the Zoom, I think I shared also on the Facebook live comments, you'll see there are so many fellowships, and some of them do deal with social entrepreneurs, etc. Upcoming ones. There are a lot of these. That's what I want to say. So you have to keep a track on it and see which one suits you and it should suit you at that point of time. Like some of them maybe just for people who are under 25. So if you're 26, it doesn't apply to you. So you have to now track it. And yeah, Kavita is saying a lot. Yeah, Kavita is giving some links. I think some recommending something. But do go through that IDR online web link that was shared earlier. It is exhaustive. I think they keep on updating it, and you'll find fellowships not only from India but also from abroad. So that's a very good resource that I would recommend people who are like watching this.
That's great.
That is great that you have sharing this information. I also wanted to say that there's a group called Assam Connection, America and Canada. And anybody who is a member of that, if somebody is going, for example, last time my friend Namrata had gone, and I said, yeah, you can come and stay with me. And she actually went to Texas, and I reached out to somebody, and somebody picked her up and let her stay. So many times when people are going and they do not have money, they got only the back and forth, for example, money for that, but not to stay over there. Maybe there will be ways that you can reach out to any of the people who live there or member of Assam Connection, so that we can post that so-and-so is coming from Assam, and they can host them.
Assam would also, they love to host. Sometimes I have also just, randomly sent messages to people in, over Instagram or Facebook, people who stay there in that particular location, and I've checked out cheap accommodation options, Airbnbs and all of that. So those options are, and in Europe the best option is hostels. So hostels are really a good option, like for budget travelers.
Yeah.
And any Assamese most Assamese will like to help to host anybody from Northeast. you know, and there's quite a lot of people in US and Canada, you know.
US, Canada,
So all we need,
Australia also.
okay, and all we need to is to post them. So you have to reach out. Like if you go even within India, if you have a Bangalore association, or you know, I can talk about US association. You know, when I needed help, I posted, and there are people who are stepping up, like, yeah, we would love to host that person. You know, you have to stay that
You
for 10
generally
days or
get
5 days.
help. I mean,
Yeah.
once, yeah, like you just said, message Correla, generally people, I mean, they do, you just manage to get help. No, it may not always be that easy, but people, you know, they get back to you.
Yeah.
Okay, then I think we have any more questions, Priyanshu? Priyanshu? Okay, he says not in FB. No questions in FB. Then we don't have any more questions here.
Yeah, Meenakshi, you
Okay,
can close down the meeting.
Kavita also says Ecoversity hosts good courses and fellowships. You can follow Manish Jain, co-founder Swaraj University, Udaipur, for Ecoversity. So that's another contact. You can note it down. So I think we will wrap up the session for today then. Thank you, Mayuri. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, experience, and it's been great talking to you, chatting with you along the way. And I hope, I mean, if we have any questions, maybe people can write to us and we can forward that to you and we can get back. We can stay in touch. And I think we can stay in touch or post more on this through our Enajuri page. Anything you would like to say as a closing remark?
Yeah, I can say that right now, I think because people are at home in quarantine, this is a very good time to do your research. Like the link that I shared, go. There are so many, at least more than nearly 100, I guess, out there on the page, or nearly 100. Go to all of them, like singularly every day. Make it a point to see if it applies to you or not, and you can, prepare for them for now. And maybe
prepare.
Yeah, use this time to prepare for it. And it's not, tough to, the first one is, it seems like, okay, it's tough, I won't get through. But once you get through that first one, it'll give you a confidence boost, and you'll keep on applying. And then you'll see that you'll get through some, you'll not get through some. You'll get used to that success failure rate. So I will tell, at least in my case, out of all the 10 applications I apply, and maybe I get through 1.5 or 1 max. But I'm applying, it's fine. I think what's the harm in applying? Right? It's just you'll get a rejection. It's better than not applying when you do not have an answer. So go ahead, apply. You might face a lot of rejection. That's fine. I think life is about success and failure ratio.
I'll just mention one more thing which we perhaps missed out, is that sometimes you might also have to, really work on a recommendation letter. So, your employer para hok ba somebody who you have been associated with professionally, that recommendation letter also goes a long way. So that is an important document. I just forgot to mention that. But yes, I mean, this is a perfect time to apply.
To wind up, one thing I remember to ask.
Yes.
Both you, Mayuri and Meenakshi, you have traveled. Sometime, I come back from US, and by the time Meenakshi had traveled 6 countries, I have difficult to catch up with her.
That's too much, Milind.
I have seen that happening too. But I want to say, because you have traveled so many places and gone, what changes do you see in yourself before all this, thing, and now when you travel? What is the benefit? Why should somebody apply? Why should somebody apply for a fellowship to go to UK, Germany, wherever? What changes did you see in yourself, both to Mayuri and to Meenakshi?
Do you want to answer, Mayuri, first?
Yeah, I think Pooja initially asked a similar question.
Yeah, almost a similar question.
Similar, but it's fine. I can repeat it once more. So I like I said that mixing with people from different cultures and going to it's just not like tourist. Leaving aside the tourist part, that's an experience. That's a different thing. But meeting people from like all over the world in these fellowships, or even if it's in India. Let's say I don't know much about people from Goa. Let's say I don't have enough friends from Goa. I know that Goa is a touristy state, but there's more to Goa than being a touristy state. There is a culture. I don't know much about the Konkani culture, so I would really love to have a friend who is from Goa, maybe. I know beyond that. So not only abroad, but in India. So it also makes you, I think, more empathetic. And that is so much important because our world is so becoming so, what to say, like intolerant in many ways, that we need these kind of connections between people like us who want to do something for the world. Which these also make us like learnings, like cross collaboration learning. They could be collaboration also. You see that, okay, my idea, you also have an idea in gender, let's collaborate together. So that could also work out. So it's, apart from professional, it also develops you as a person. That's what I felt, at least in my case.
And specifically to Assam, like, and I'm thinking of Assam. Fine, you travel all these places. Your resume looks good. Yes, you have different perspective. You may get different perspective, even watching foreign movies, for example. So okay, you went all these places. What do you bring to Assam? How would you travel all these places? Going to help fellow people from Assam or Northeast?
Yeah, okay. So currently I run a petition called Dignity in Floods for women-friendly flood shelters in Assam. And this is something I developed from a fellowship that I attended in Bangalore by change.org. So I think I bring that to Assam. At least the focus on like gender-sensitive disaster response. I got to know how to petition, how to run a campaign. So that's something I bring back. Also, let's say I did the Climate Reality Fellowship. It trained me on different aspects of climate change. Northeast is such a vulnerable state when it comes to climate, extreme weather events, etc. So those are, so we have this climate activist group from Northeast. So we do events, we facilitate connections from outside. So we do these things. Now it also depends on the person, right? I mean, some people may actively bring something from this state, and some people may think that, okay, this is for my own professional development, maybe I'll do it later. So currently, at least in my case, I feel that these are the two things that I'm trying to do. And I also work on the gender space. So when I go to Gender Lab, there are new types of learnings. And another thing I really do is I try to encourage people around me from Assam. I share these opportunities. So I'm really open to anyone who is applying for these fellowships to talk to them, and they message me on Facebook. So it's also those things, like I can also help in many ways. So yeah, it depends on the person whom you're also asking the question. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mayuri, can you share your petition so in Facebook page so that people it can go to more people, your petition?
Where do you want to?
In Facebook. If
we can share that on our Facebook page. Yeah.
I'm also sharing it right now on the chat.
Okay.
So,
yeah, perfect.
That's the one.
Yeah, we'll make sure that it reaches to more people
through
our network. Yeah. That's like, I feel it was quite an engaging conversation, and thanks, Mayuri, especially to you, like, for making your time and to interact with us on a Sunday.
Every day now seems like a Sunday sometimes, but it's fine. I really like doing this because I've been on webinars, but I really access, like, for people like young students in Northeast also connecting. I really wanted to be here and talk to them, because as a person from Northeast India, for many years, I was also disconnected from all these opportunities. And when I went outside to study, outside as in Calcutta, I found that the city people, they know so much than me. And that's something I really relate to with people who are students right now in Assam. And that I really feel that someone who is from the state, if I have had the opportunity, I should really share this privilege with others also in my state. So it was perfectly fine. I really enjoyed doing this.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayuri. Thank you on behalf of Enajuri.
Yeah. And all the best for your future venture. And I hope like this petition is of great success.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Good luck. Nice speaking to you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. We are ending the session. Okay. Take care.